Hey everyone, thanks for tuning in to another edition of Shane Flynn Outdoors. This is another one of our Fish Chatter episodes where we talk to other YouTube fishermen, learn about their fishing channel and their fishing style, and maybe even tell a fish story or two. Today, we have an angler who fishes some very unique waters only found in southern Florida. Our guest in this episode is Joe from Parabellum Fishing. Here's a quick clip.
Hey guys, what's going on? Parabellum Fishing. Welcome back. Look at that fish, guys.
Hey everyone, thanks for joining in to another edition of Shane Flynn Outdoors. This is another one of our Fish Chatter episodes. And today we have Joe from Parabellum Fishing. Thanks, Joe, for joining us. And we'll just get right into it, Joe. Tell us a little bit about how you got started fishing and how you got started with your YouTube channel.
No, well, first, thanks for having me, man. This is pretty cool. I grew up fishing. My dad, down here in South Florida, my dad had a boat. We did a lot of fishing off the boat in the saltwater. Some of my earliest memories are at the pier with my dad. And, back then there wasn't all the electronics and websites and stuff. So you got outside and you fished. And everybody had their little Zebco with their hook and bobber and worm. And, that's how you spent most of your days until the sun went down. And my roots, I guess, were in saltwater fishing, but bass fishing has always, had a place in my heart. And that's mostly what I do now. Starting the channel is just, I don't know, it's a pretty cool community we got here on YouTube, all the different fishing channels. And I kind of just wanted to be part of it, no matter how small a part that might be. And I'm really, really enjoying doing it. I'm almost pushing 200 right now. And that's beyond what I ever thought. Now I figure I have 10 friends, so I'll have like 12 subs. But it's been a blast. It's been a lot of fun. I'm glad I did it.
Yeah. Well, I'll tell you, Joe, you do have a unique channel because you're down there fishing the canals in southern Florida.
Mm-hmm.
One of my last interviews, I did a fisherman here in Washington, D.C. He was an urban fisherman.
Mm-hmm.
He caught the bus and carried his fishing poles to go fishing, right?
Nice.
So that's a dedicated fisherman.
Dedication,
sure.
yeah.
Yeah. And we'll see that one coming out here real soon. But, down there in southern Florida, you have a different ecosystem that, I think you said it earlier, you can't throw a rock hardly not hit one of those canals to fish out of.
It's true. It's true.
Yeah. So, you got the fortunate scenario of having year-round fishing.
Yep.
Here in Virginia, we had snow and ice, and I got another snow storm coming this weekend, so I can't get out and go fishing.
Right.
Do you kind of target a certain time of year? I know it's warm all year, but is it better in the cooler or the hotter months? What do you target?
I don't know. Like you said, good fishing all year round. In the hotter months, it gets tough to be out there. I haven't experienced a true summer wearing a GoPro on my chest yet, but I can imagine it's going to be pretty rough. And sometimes just that summer heat that just, you might go out for an hour instead of a 4-hour trip. But when it comes to that, I guess basically the spring is always the best time. I think that's kind of year round. Our winter is actually pretty good. We can throw big baits slowly and pull in bigger fish. And like you said, it's a different ecosystem. It never really gets truly cold. It gets really hot, but it's always warm. So that keeps the fish spawning and growing and eating year round. So no, I guess I don't really have a time I target. I just maybe fish a little less in the summer.
Okay. So you mentioned the spawn. We kind of got a target here in Virginia that late April, early May, mid-April to early May. It's got to be different there. When do you start?
They're spawning now in certain areas.
That's crazy.
Yeah, I was just out last weekend and saw several beds that were clean, like they were just made. You can see some smaller bass just kind of guarding the bed, and not quite bed fishing. You throw a worm and they kind of just scoot it. They weren't interested.
Right.
But yeah, you got some spawning now happening. And then we got like species like the snakehead, the bullseye snakehead, and they spawn multiple times a year.
Yeah, that's why you get so many of them. Yeah, you get so many of them in the canals there because they spawn so often.
They do.
I've got to ask, and I didn't mention this earlier, peacock bass.
Mm-hmm.
Do you catch many of those?
I don't target them often, but yeah, if I wanted to, I know a couple spots where I can go hit them. they're actually a lot of fun to catch. But you need warmer weather. You know,
Okay.
even when the weather cools down to what it is now, and I think it's in the low to mid 70s right now, they tend to not bite as well.
Okay. All right.
They're more of a tropical fish, but yeah, in the summer you'll see me catch more of those.
Okay. Joe, one of the unique things about your channel, other than the canal fishing, which I really enjoy, is you do a lot of different things. Like I was watching you make jig heads. So you do a lot of how-to stuff too. So what you have a preference, or do you just kind of like to blend it? You know, when you're putting out your content, I enjoy all of it, but do you have a preference?
Not really a preference. No, I do like to blend it all up. I guess my personal, the way I do it is I try not to do too many of the same thing in a row. So I'll do 3 or 4 fishing videos and then maybe mix in an unboxing or a bait making or a crankbait painting video, and then do a couple more fishing videos. I prefer the fishing videos. They're more entertaining to me. You know, sometimes I'll edit like a bait making video and I almost bore myself. So I have to cut a lot more out and figure out camera angles. I mean, I'm new to all this. So, but yeah, I do like to change it up.
Yeah, one of the things that a couple of folks told me that have been doing this for a while is like you'll get better at doing YouTube videos as you go along, and
and I feel that's true. I think even in the 8 months I've been doing it, I feel like I've come a long way. I'm a lot more comfortable with the camera and trying different things.
Yeah, I'm in the same boat. You know, I've only been doing this about the same. I started back in the spring, and I look at my videos that I started with versus where I'm at now, and yeah, it's different for sure.
It is.
We kind of learn on the fly, which is
Sure.
not a bad thing. Not a bad thing. So, you know, you said you mix it up, and I see that on all your videos. And the one that I thought was one of your better ones was your Santa Claus video.
Yeah, that was fun.
Yeah. That was interesting. I think I commented, hey, Santa Claus usually doesn't bass fish in the middle of December. So
nah, you don't know. He's got the elves doing all that work.
There you go.
I like doing some goofy stuff from time to time just to, see if it sticks. That's just my personality.
Yeah, it was good. I really enjoyed it.
I appreciate it.
Yeah.
I actually asked my wife to pick me up a Santa hat when she was at the store, and she came back with that full mask. So even I was surprised by that.
Yeah. Well, you pulled it off.
Thank you. I literally pulled it off. It was so hot under that thing, and the beard kept shedding into my mouth. So I edited out so much spitting of hair, but it was fun.
Well, so I ask everybody this, Joe, on this Fish Chatter episode. We kind of get to the specifics of catching fish. And I got to ask you, what is your comfort bait when it comes to catching bass down there in the canals?
I'd say I'm a big swim bait guy. I really like a jig head with a paddle tail swim bait on the end. I can throw that pretty much year round and everything's going to eat it. And I'm partial to power fishing. You had mentioned before we started this with the spinner baits. I like throwing spinner baits. I like throwing crank baits, but a moving bait, and especially the swim baits, I'll always have one tied on year round pretty much.
Yeah, I've believe it or not, this last year, and if you've watched any of my videos, I caught a lot of bass on swim baits, Kitech specifically. Never ever until this year have I fished a swim bait.
Really?
Yeah, I've always been, I fished jigs, I fished a lot of plastics, but I really got hooked on that swim bait, and it's a fish producer. It really is.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Before I had this wall of junk behind me, all I had was a bag of Zoom paddle tail flukes, 4/0 hook, and some 1/4 ounce worm weights.
And it's all you needed, really, right?
Really all I needed. And I caught everything I wanted to catch.
Yeah. So you brought something up that I was just talking to another fisherman. He'll be on one of our Fish Cheddar episodes in the near future. And he sent me he's down here in Northern Virginia as well. And he shot me a picture of just a table full of tackle that I couldn't believe. And I was like, Marty, I think you got a problem. And then I regressed a little bit. I was like, Shane, you may have a problem too. Do you find yourself in that same scenario where you've got more tackle than you can fish?
Oh yeah, especially when Tackle Warehouse runs a sale or something like that. I end up buying stuff that I don't need. You can't see a lot of it. It's beneath me. Just what's up on the wall is, more of the go-to grab stuff, but I've literally got totes down there labeled swim baits, worms, Ned rig, drop shot, and it's way more than I could ever fish. And yet I'm still waiting on a couple of orders to come in.
Yeah, I actually had an order come in from Tackle Warehouse today that got delayed because of the snow. And
Mm-hmm.
I looked in it and I had a reel that I was waiting on, but I was like, why did I order these two baits? What was I
Yep.
thinking at the time that I ordered it? So
The worst is when you open the box and go, oh, I didn't order more of those. And now you need to go online and get more of those.
yeah. Yeah, I think we all of us fishermen get in that trap, right? So
Absolutely.
trap or gift or however you want to look at it.
I don't have a whole lot going on. I mean, I do some woodworking on the side, but when it comes to hobbies and things that I spend money on, it's fishing,
Yeah.
and there's
Yeah.
not a whole lot else. I have my car. I love my car, but I'm not souping it up or anything. So I think the real thing I'll spend money on is fishing gear.
Yeah.
And I tend to do that very well.
Yeah. So, it kind of leads me to a question, and you don't have to answer this if you don't want, but I noticed your last episode, you broke a fishing pole.
I did. It's
What
right here.
did you upgrade or did you just try to find something equivalent?
I went with an equivalent, I think. Unfortunately, the rod that broke is a Quantum Smoke PT series, and they don't make them anymore.
Right.
I think I got it like 8 years ago. Love that rod. I've caught like 2 different PBs on it. And it was just perfect. And I think if I ordered the newer version, I'll always compare it, and I don't think I'll like it. I actually went with a Dobbins, but I do own a Dobbins as a crankbait rod, and I like the rod. It's pretty solid. And yeah, it was again one of those sales on Tackle Warehouse. So I figured, what the heck, give it a shot. It'll be one of maybe 4 new rods I've gotten in the last 2 months. So
Yeah. Yeah.
I got a variety to play with.
That there's nothing wrong with that. No doubt. I found myself lately, I'm the same way. I don't have a lot of hobbies. I got, I'm going to invest in fishing. So anytime I get the opportunity to get a little bit of an upgrade because I broke a pole or whatever, I take advantage of that. So
Yeah, I've said that for years. You buy the best you can.
yep.
It's like power tools or anything else. If you buy the best you can afford at the time, you'll replace them a lot less. And like I was pretty heartbroken about that rod, but had it for 8 years. I definitely got my money's worth out of it.
Yeah, but you start to fall in love with them after about 2 or 3
You
years,
do.
right?
You do.
Yeah. All right. Well, Joe, let me ask you one more question before we get to the final
Sure.
one. I always ask everyone, tell me about your most epic fishing day or fishing adventure. Can you share that with us?
Yeah. Maybe not most epic, but probably one of my favorite. When my daughter was younger, I could talk her into going fishing with me more often, and not all the time, but enough to where I bought her own rod and reel combo. It's like a pink and purple Zebco kind of deal, and she would fish, with a worm and a bobber, a live worm that I would have to put on the hook, and she would, catch a million pan fish that I would have to take off the hook, and I never could throw a cast of my own. And it's probably about 6 years ago now. We were out there fishing one day, and her reel got all goofed up, and it was just it needed some attention. So I had a spinning combo with me. I handed it to her, an open face spinner, and I showed her how to open the bail and throw a few casts. And once I was confident she could do it, I said, all right, you go fish while Daddy tries to fix your reel. So I turned my back and I'm playing with this thing, and I got, bird's nest, those Zebcos, you unscrew them, and we've all been there.
Yeah.
And I hear, Daddy, I got a fish. And I'm like, no, you don't. And I turn around to look, and that rod is bent in half and it's bouncing. So I know she's not snagged on something. And I think it was rigged with a Texas rigged like culprit worm or something. I mean, just whatever I had on there.
Yeah.
I'm like, reel, kid, reel. Because for some reason, kids don't reel when they catch a fish. They just hold it.
Yeah.
And I guess expect the fish to come in. So I'm screaming at her to reel. She's got this smile on her face, huge. I didn't have a scale with me back then. I never carried one, prior to YouTube. But I'm going to say it was a solid 1.5-pound bass. She was ear to ear grins. I was a proud papa moment, because here she is pulling this thing in, and she reeled it all the way up to the dock herself. And I reached down and lifted it for her. She still wanted to touch it. She still didn't want to, get all slimy, but she did pose for a picture. And to this day, she tells everybody it was a 2-foot bass. She'll tell, I caught a 2-foot bass. I caught a 2-foot bass. And I turned my cell phone around and got a selfie of the two of us with the fish.
That's awesome.
And that's actually in my living room up on a shelf. So maybe not the PB story you wanted to hear, but I think of
That's
that might be
perfect.
my favorite fishing story I got because she's 12 now, and it's harder to get her to break away from the computer. And I don't even think honestly she likes fishing that much. I think she just feels bad. She says no to me so often that every once in a while she'll throw dad a bone.
Yep.
But
Yeah.
that's definitely one of my more happier fishing memories.
That's awesome. That's awesome. I've got three daughters myself. They're 27, 28, and 29, but
Okay.
they didn't have a choice when they were in that 7, 8, 9, 10 age
Hmm.
range because they were going fishing with dad.
No
And
choice.
I've got many pictures of them with them holding fish like
At least they held the fish.
yeah, that's true. But that's
Yeah.
awesome. I mean, when you're out there with your kids and
Hmm.
they get a moment like that, that is just it's always
That's
memorable.
just the best part of fishing. I mean, you can do it by yourself and have a great time, or with friends, or with kids, or
Yeah.
even perfect strangers I've bumped into on a canal. We'll just start, talking about what's going down.
I did notice on one of your episodes, there's another YouTuber out there fishing on a lake.
Yeah, that's my buddy Mike over at One Man Out Fishing. He was the I probably the first YouTuber I spoke to when I started my channel. He lives about 15 minutes down the road, and he invited me out. He goes, "Hey, you just started up. Come on out. Let's swap ideas." It's funny. He's actually caught my PB
Yep.
fishing with him, and
Yeah.
my camera had died because again I was brand new and I had two batteries. When they died, they died. I was done.
Yeah.
And but he was actually changing his battery when I caught the fish, so neither of us got the fish catch on camera. But he does have a video of me holding, pretty
Yep.
big bass, 5'10",
Yeah. That's a sweet bass right
out of a
there.
residential lake. I was pretty happy with it. Yeah.
Heck yeah. Heck yeah. Yeah. Well, hey Joe, tell us what we can expect. What do you got any big plans for the new year here? Or is there anything different you're gonna be doing going on the channel that we can look forward to?
I have a couple of things I'd like to do. I don't know if it'll pan out, but we'll try, of course. Um, I do have this will be I do a camping trip about twice a year, and I haven't done one since I started YouTube, so that'll be interesting. I'll bring the camera with me to the camping trip.
Okay.
But for the most part, a lot of the same. Again, still new to this, trying to find my groove and see what people like and what I like. The way I see it, if I don't like my content, no one else will. You have to be happy with what you're doing at least.
Sure. Absolutely.
So yeah, a lot of the same. I do have some collaborations with other channels coming up, some other South Florida channels. Those will be a lot of fun, and some virtual collaborations. And but yeah, for the most part, a lot of the same. Just me walking banks, catching a bunch of dinks, and hoping I get a big one every once in a while.
Yeah. It won't surprise me if you pull in a big one before you know it. So
Yeah, one day,
that,
hopefully.
that's why I keep watching.
I appreciate it, man.
Yeah, no doubt. Well, hey Joe, I appreciate it again for you coming out here and again enjoy your channel. It's
Appreciate that,
unique.
man.
It's
Thank you.
definitely unique with you down there in the canal, especially in South Florida. And look forward to the content you're putting out this year. And thanks again for coming on. Appreciate it.
Absolutely, man. Thanks for having me. It was fun.